on this edition of Christian World News.
Welcome to Christian World News. I'm Wendy Griffith. 6 months ago, most people had never even heard of the Russian city of Beslan. But for 3 days in September, the world watched in horror as terrorists held hundreds of people hostage in a public school. The siege ended with bombs and bullets, leaving hundreds of grieving families. Today, we look again to the Russian Republic of Ossetia and the city of Beslan to see how its victims are coping and how some Christians are trying to help. Here's our chief international correspondent, Gary Lane.
It's a happy day at school number 6 in Beslan. Some of these kids are survivors of the attack on school number 1, and this rally is mostly for them. A church youth choir provides the entertainment, and visiting American Christians hand out backpacks full of school supplies and spiritual literature. It's part of an effort by Beslan's evangelicals to help them heal after the brutal attack that devastated their lives.
It's important for these children to see that there are good people on earth and not just bad. They see good when people that they don't know come from far away to give them gifts.
This scene is starkly different from the one just 6 months ago, when terrorists took over school number 1 and herded hundreds of school kids, their parents and teachers, into the school's small gym. They set up bombs throughout the place and terrorized their captives into submission. The men, women, and children held captive spent 3 days in that crowded hell. But when a bomb fell from the ceiling, a new horror began. The terrorists opened fire on the crowd as they tried to escape, and when it was finished, 360 people, including 179 children, lay dead. Today in Beslan, the dead are buried, but the living are still tormented. This is Svetlana and her son David. Svetlana sent David inside the school moments before the attack began. When she realized what was happening, she dashed inside and up to the second floor, where she found him cowering in his classroom.
He was standing in the center by himself. Everybody was in the corners. He said, "Mama, Mama." So I grabbed him, hugged him, and ran to the window, and we dug down.
Since the attack, Svetlana says her son has been withdrawn and sometimes throws temper tantrums and refuses to obey her. Elvira and her 2 daughters survived those days in the gym, but now she can't stop her hand from shaking when she talks about the attack. And she can't forget the horror she felt as they literally walked on top of dead bodies to escape the gym. Since then, she says, she has lost the joy of living.
After that, I don't have fear, but also I don't have the sense of life. It's like I have a body, but without a soul.
17-year-old David was starting his junior year on September 1st, but he was late to school that Monday morning. However, his mother and little brother were caught inside when the terrorists attacked. They didn't survive. In the ruins of school number 1, David points out familiar places, like his brother's classroom. He used to come here every day to walk his little brother, Beslan, home after school. Sometimes he'd even come during class and just stand outside to catch Beslan's attention and make him laugh. David said that was part of the special relationship he had with his younger brother.
I actually raised him myself. He was more than a brother to me. I spent all my time with him.
All of that changed when the terrorists came. Like most of the victims, David's brother and mother died in the gym. Witnesses say they were walking through the gym when a bomb fell from the ceiling and exploded almost on top of them. David's mother died instantly. 9-year-old Beslan started running in fear, and he was shot down by the terrorists.
When they found him, he had a bullet in his head.
Now David is left to cope with the enormous void left by their deaths. He grieves the loss of his beloved mother and the special relationship he had with the funny younger brother who meant so much to him.
I miss all of them. I loved everything about him.
David and others are finding help at this counseling center, run by evangelical Christians and supported by U.S.-based Russian Ministries. Staffed by Christian volunteers, it's a place where people can share their feelings of grief, anger, and hopelessness. The best these counselors can do is lend a compassionate ear and try to point the grief-stricken toward God.
First, I just listen and let them talk about everything. Then I ask them if they prayed during the attack, and I ask them about God. Finally, I ask them if they want to pray. No one refuses prayer, even those who express anger at God.
And Natasha says some have come to faith in Christ through the counseling. Beslan's evangelicals are trying to help victims, especially the children, have hope for the future, to show them that life can continue despite the horrible events of 6 months ago, that a gym is a place where you can have fun again, that you can leave school with thoughts of play, that you can get your little brother safely home, and that one grieving older brother can have the hope that one day he'll see his best friend again. Gary Lane, Christian World News.